left the shore in a thick, swirling mist. The coast was luminous. The minute we floated out in the water, my heart rose out of my chest. I felt lucky. I've got everyone and everything I need here on this boat with me. The children were just happy to be wherever I was. The men talked of fishing, the water clear enough to see shoals of fish darting in and out of sunlight. I wouldn't let anyone kill anything at first. My superstition of the sea was first started in English lessons. The poem, with the sailor and the albatross. I have packed enough food to see us through this part of the journey, I'd say. My children and husband laughing at me, saying, "Water, water everywhere." I ignore them. I don't want to tempt the fates. On that first night out at sea, we talked of what we left behind. The American War, we called it. You call it Vietnam War. After the Americans left and took all their allies with them in huge helicopters, the new government started looking around for a new enemy. It was our turn. We were middle class, you call it? Not poor, not rich. But the communists wanted us to become one class. It was when the government decided we should go and clear the jungles, start again. It was then we started making plans. We traded what we had for gold. What price for life, we would say? What price? 4 families pulled our money and we headed for the coast. We were robbed by soldiers at every checkpoint, but we had our exit papers. By then worth more than the gold we lost along the way. Finally, we made it to the coast. 30 women and children and 15 men on a boat that looked like it could take 5 people at the most. There were 2 engines, and we made shade out of some old tarpaulin. We had 2 barrels of water and food wrapped in cloth for each passenger. My husband, he showed me the map. It did not look like we would be out there for a long time. We headed for the Gulf of Thailand. Plenty of islands there. If we got into trouble, we could start there, our own country. My husband was always the one making jokes. It was his stupid grin that made me love him. Laughing at his own jokes. His teeth broken long ago for laughing too hard at a soldier who had fallen in a ditch. His broken teeth smile. It's imperfection that we love about each other when you think about it. On that first night, we started a game. Each child had 1 night, 1 turn to be the leader of the dreams. It was just after the first engine failed. Everyone panicked. The children became quite hysterical, so we gathered them together in a huddle at the prow. My husband began making jokes about putting a hole in the boat and paddling like ducks, the fool, but we all laughed. We decided to cut the second engine for the night and just let ourselves rest and float. The silence descended on us like fog. It was as if we were the only beings in existence. The first child drew a straw to be the leader of the dreams. She is 8 years old, and she dreams of having her own rice paddy, with a little house made of bamboo in the middle, with a ladder just for her so she could climb and have a view of the world. The other children grilled her for more details, but her dream is simple. A little bamboo house with a ladder in the middle of a rice paddy. We all lived in the moment silently. We all saw it at the same time. It is where she is now. That first morning was a shock. Not quite awake, but rocking. The sun pouring into our dreams. All the children looked like snoring bags of sugar, piled on top of each other. I was the first to wake, so I just let myself take it all in. This is still the sea of possibility. My husband woke up, a big smile and a stretch. There's not enough wind, I say to him. We will be here like this forever if you don't do something. Make a sail, he said. For one thing, it will give us a purpose. We have to show the children home is wherever we are. This is all we have right now. My husband, the philosopher. We all organized breakfast, sharing out what we had. And one of the men caught a fish and my heart ran cold. The poem making me superstitious. I wouldn't let any of my children eat the fish. Maybe tomorrow. It didn't feel right to eat the sea sacrifice. Not yet. Not until we had become friends. Then the second engine failed, and my husband couldn't think of a joke for that one. We drifted through soft winds, and it started to look like we were just going in circles. So we women began to make a sail. First, we each took our wedding linens. Each of us had brought them as our only possession from home. We stitched our secrets, our plans into that sail. The children, one by one, fell silent, like their bodies were telling them to store up energy. They stopped playing and bickering. We were stitching for miracles. I was so thirsty, I kept dreaming of sliding into the water and drinking of the ocean. Water, water everywhere. The men spent hours trying to fix the engine. The sea was no longer a possibility. It was like a jailer. Nothing but endless water. Then a storm. It descended from nowhere. But we worked. We gathered rainwater. The children were just lying there with their mouths open, drinking in the whole of the sky as it rained down on us. We all worked to fix the sail, to catch the skirts of this wind and scoop up the air. Even though the waves were as high as houses, we rode them. Oh, it felt like winning. We had water, we had wind. Finally, we were going somewhere. We were stopping, going in circles. That night, the dream of the child was not heard amongst the din of the wind and our shouts to each other. Then the sun rose and it stayed there for days, evaporating all the rainwater we had gathered. We drifted for days, and some people simply gave up and slid over the side. I began tying my children just to make sure they didn't slide away too. My husband forgot all of his jokes and slid away. I didn't think he would need a rope too. I was sure I had spotted dry land, was sure I could make out the tops of trees in a mountain. Dry land! I began to shout, dry land! A mirage. I think I was just so angry at him that it fueled me to stay alive. How could you leave me and the kids like this? How could you just give up, you weak bastard? My thoughts were becoming hardened, my mind wrapped in coral. The anger rose from deep within and drew breath and howled like a gale into the night. I stopped seeing my children. Merely skeletons. But still, we kept going. I decided to break the rule of the poem and try to catch a fish. It wasn't a bird, it wasn't an albatross. In fact, there were no birds here at all. So surely I would not have the same burden for killing a fish. The wind had already turned against us, ignored us with its back turned. The sea had swallowed whole lives whole. What harm could catching a fish do? Maybe It could be an offering. I caught us all a fish. Then the others caught a fish. And we made a moment out of dry land. Out of normality of gutting, cooking, and sharing out the fish. The children started bickering. The women regathered our stock. I waited, though, for the retribution of the sea. I knew it was coming. One of the children spotted a sail. We found the energy to get everyone to scream and wave. Oh, this long saga out at sea, it was over, we are sure. This sea of nightmares, it is releasing us. They were smiling, those men. We thought they were a savior. They weren't. Don't get romantic about pirates. They are bastards. They take everything that you have, and then they took more. The long boat arrived like a shadow of death. And I only knew it when I see the smile on their faces as they threw a rope and fastened onto ours. Then flashes, chaos, storm of words, searching the boat, screaming. Like a gang of seagulls had landed. Oh, it all happened so quickly. They took everything they could find. I stopped being angry at my husband. I am glad he did not see what those men did. When they left, they took some of the young girls with them. My girl, whose dream charged us through the night, I was holding on tight to her. Then a bolt of lightning blasted me back, and the black of night swallowed me whole. And then there was nothing. When I woke up from the blackest pitch, I counted my children, even the empty spaces on the rope. I wanted to let go of this boat, floating on this sea, let go of the sun, let go, just go. And I was falling in that pitch. That is what death feels like. Then more days and nights, storms, bleaching sun. We all just gave up. Nobody spoke, nobody could. I was slipping in and out. I'd wake up, laughing at one of my husband's jokes, then remember what happened, and then crash out again. As we drifted aimlessly in the sea, I would wake, count my children, and crash back to the black. The unconsciousness and consciousness melded. I no longer saw any distinction between the long black night, peppered with stars, and the shroud of sleep. It was endless. This was the sea of death. One of the children giggled. Must have been a good dream. The sound of a child laughing brought this wave of love that filled every cell. I lifted my head and saw it. "What that, Mummy?" the giggling child said as she scooped up water, hanging over the side as bold as anything. I went to grab her back. She was entranced by the glow of phosphorescence, and my heart filled with pride. Only a child could still seek to play with the world when everything has been taken away. As the sea came alive and luminous, fireflies came down out of nowhere. I recognized them. It was the souls of all the people who had been taken from this boat. I swear I saw it. I saw the laughing broken tooth of my husband, saw it dancing in the swarm of butterflies. The only witness to this was me and this child. This was either going to be the most beautiful death, or could it be? Could it be? The fireflies scooped up that sail and filled it with air, and we are moving. We are heading somewhere. The doldrums have gone, and we are traveling in the sea of the undead. As his silhouette was getting closer, scooping up water in his oar, fireflies gathered around him, and then I knew. I closed my eyes and there were no tears left. I opened my mouth to cry, there was no sound. This man was kind. He pulled us one by one onto his boat, put water on my lips. We were brought to shore by life itself. Death stayed out at sea. The beach, its sand and firm, dry land. We held on, those of us that survived. We held on somehow.